What's going on, all you wild vampire slayer? It's your two favorite bloodsuckers back here for Cinephellas. I'm Logan Myers, my good mate over there.
And I'm Tom Cruise. Thanks everybody for joining us. And don't I look great for being 60?
Now,
These two goofy guys are back again, and we're going to talk about the AMC original series Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, the first season.
so part of our 31 Days of Horror series, we reviewed the first episode, pilot episode of the series, and I was talking it up. Huge fan of the books, Anne Rice books, hold them dear to my heart. Love the first movie from the 90s, Christian Slater, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Kirsten Dunst. But this time around, it's more faithful to the book adaptation, diving more into the character of Louis, played by Jacob Anderson, Sam Reed, playing Lestat, and then you had Assad Zaman playing Rashid, and Bailey Bass playing Claudia. So these are all the characters in this. It really dives into the story, the focal point of Louis, his life, being a young man in New Orleans back in the day, and how he became creature of the night.
Yeah, an awesome look into the source material from Anne Rice's books, which you've read and you're more familiar with than I am. But really watching this series, they really dive into the stories, and I'm from reading the reviews and hearing from other people that are familiar with the books. It's pretty spot on with the source material, which is exciting because the movie, it gets 2.5 hours, two and a half hours to tell that whole saga, and they can only fit so much within a movie, and here we get a whole season based upon the first book was 7 hour long episodes, some being a little longer than others, but it really gives a chance for this story and these characters really come alive, and you really learn about this character's journey and being hundreds of years old, and where he meets Lestat, talking about Jacob Anderson's Louis, of course, where he meets Lestat, in New Orleans, like you mentioned. And, just seeing how these characters interacted and how Lestat was able to, seduce basically Louis, and, get him to get close enough where he's able to turn him into the one of the undead, and basically invite him to have, everlasting life as a vampire.
Lestat is always looking about it as to control Louis, and we find out in the series of Lestat, and he's really just narcissistic and a control freak, has abandonment issues, and can't be alone, and he's just controlling Louis and has all the wrong intentions. But early on, he shows him how to be a vampire, how to hunt at night, and how to sleep in a coffin, and all the things you need to do as a vampire. If you go out in the sunlight, fry, you're dead. So, throughout that, they kind of dive in to all, the vampire lore of, creatures of the night.
Yeah, like Eric Bagazian as Molloy. He, at first he's like trying to figure out if he's telling the truth or not. He doesn't have that trust yet. And then slowly over the episodes, he sort of shows him more and more and is telling the story. And, Molloy and him have this like, relationship where he gives him a little information, and it's like a give and take. And, Molloy's very skeptical, but throughout the series, he slowly starts to see that this stuff is all true. He shows him the journals, the actual writings, and things like that. So it really becomes like this big journalistic piece for this writer, who's talking to this 100-year-old vampire and hearing all about his life, and how him, Louis, and Lestat, eventually, this girl got brought into the fold and became a vampire and basically became their kid, and they raised Claudia, and all the things that happened with them being a family, how she went out on her first kills, how she went from this little innocent girl basically to this grown woman, being raised by two vampires, and all the crazy stuff that happened. I really enjoyed her character, the young actress, Bailey Bass. She did a great job. I remember in the movie, the character was played by Kirsten Dunst. So this is that role in the show, and they really, with the episodes, 7 episodes being, 1 hour long. There's a lot of time to get to know her and to see how she goes from where she starts with these two to the very end, and how her and Louis have to work together to, keep Lestat in check, because he's they know about Lestat, and like you mentioned, him being narcissistic and wanting everything for himself, and they finally figure out that that he's manipulating them, and basically the only thing that they can do is kill him if they ever want to get away and be free of his the hold he's got on him.
Throughout the series, you see Claudia and Louis really get in this relationship, and it annoys the shit out of Lestat because he wants Louis all for himself, and Claudia's kind of thrown into here, and they gain this relationship and trying to figure out how can they get away from this bad vampire Lestat, and they slowly figure that out. And towards the end, you see what happens to that character, which is really great. But overall, the show is really, really well done. I was really impressed. I kind of went in with low expectations. Tells a really great story, beautiful set design, great music, food, and really dives into the tale of bloodsuckers and the vampires that we know from the Anne Rice books. Really top-notch performances by Jacob Anderson, Sam Reed, Eric Bogosian, Bailey Bass that played Claudia. I thought she did a really great job. Introduction of Claudia, she looked maybe 10, but she's actually 19. So that's cool how they did that. And she was a pivotal part to the story in the first season, and could be interesting how it all plays out.
Absolutely. Really well done for television. AMC, obviously Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Mad Men, the list goes on, and they have another winner with Interview with a Vampire, and they put all their money into the budget. You see that in the way that they're, the costumes that they wear, the sets, the design, the dialogue, the writing's really top notch. After every episode, I watched a little 5-minute, ending piece because I talked to the writer, Roland Jones, and they talked to some of the cast about making it. And it's really interesting to see how they took the source material and were able to put it on screen in the way that they did with this cast. The cast is all excellent. All the actors and actresses in the show really killed it. I love Sam Reed as Lestat. He did a great job, being this French vampire who has to be this narcissistic guy, but at the same time, he has to be cool enough, for you to believe, us as the audience, to believe him being able to, manipulate people and really show the charm and, be this, French guy, and just a great Lestat, I thought. Whereas the movie version, you had these, big Hollywood actors. I like how they went with the the unknowns on this show too. Obviously we knew Jacob Anderson from Game of Thrones, but what did he have, about 20 lines of dialogue throughout the whole show? In this show, he really gets a chance to shine, and that's my main takeaway from the show. Really awesome to get a look without having read the source material. I really feel like I have a good understanding of, like, at least the first book in Anne Rice's series, and getting to know these characters. You can see kind of the genius of her writing, and I liked how the writer took from her material and tried to stay as faithful as possible, and put his own spin on it, what his vision on the screen. I really loved what they did with this show.
Yeah, same here. Anne Rice wanted to be one of the best authors of all time, in my opinion. Really faithful, really great first season of this. Really impressed. I'm super excited they greenlit the second season, so I'm going to see how true do they stay to the rest of the books and where this story goes. So that being said, I'm going to give the first season Interview with the Vampire and AMC Plus a 4 out of 5 Lestat hair pieces.
I'm going to give AMC's Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, the first season, a 4 out of 5 Daniel Molloy hair pieces.
So we want to hear from all you bloodsuckers out there. What did you like about the first season of Interview with the Vampire? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite Anne Rice book? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also, check out these wild vampires on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV movie news and reviews.
We want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of Interview with a Vampire? I thought it was an excellent show. I had a blast watching this. Came at the perfect time of year. The Halloween season just wrapped up. Really went by fast too. The 7 episodes really got the job done in a short amount of time. I mean, they covered a lot. The time span was cool, the way that they were able to jump in time, and everything felt cohesive. It wasn't all over the place. Really enjoyed the series, and we want to hear if you guys thought the same. So thank you guys so much for watching our review of the first season of Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. I'm very happy that it got picked up right away for a second season. Can't wait to see these actors back on screen. So with that being said, these two wild rascals, we have to go back and get to bed in our coffins because we must go to bed because tomorrow we feast.
And we have to work.
Until the next Cinephellas TV review. Cheers!